The human brain is capable of holding up to 2.5 million petabytes of information. For reference, your brain is theoretically able to memorize this video about 11 million times over. But to what extent can our brains really comprehend? Hi, I'm Mindful, and in today's video, we will dive deep into what exactly our human capability is, and if humans can ever actually reach that. I want to start this video out by asking you a simple question. If you could know everything, and I mean everything, would you? What would be the ramifications of knowing everything? There's an important fact that you must know before we get farther into this video, and that is the fact that one single human can never actually be able to know everything ever. And by ever, I mean for however long humanity is actually around as a species. This is due for multiple reasons. The first is that someone who holds that kind of information would most likely be targeted by multiple government agencies the second they find out. I don't really want to get into government conspiracy in this video, but it is important to understand why someone who holds that kind of information would be so powerful in today's world. If this person theoretically were to exist, that person has two options that they could go to. One would be to work for the government or country of their choosing and make that government so powerful because that they have so much intel on everything that they would be able to see anything before it happens. The other would be to spend their entire life on the run from all of the world's governments because most of them would be under the idea that this singular individual is too powerful to be left alive. Another reason that this person could never exist is because knowing everything could possibly drive a person into pure insanity. This is where the video is going to start to get a little bit more speculative because we're never going to be able to test these things. These aren't going to be like scientifically proven facts. But under the assumption that this person does know everything, we can assume that they know everything about what is afterlife, what is before it, how the universe works, and what lies after your death. And these things may actually be things that are inconceivable to the human brain, to the point that the individual who knows these things would go mad just trying to understand how the entire story of the universe works. A third reason for this is that some information will never be found out and will never be made completely public to one certain individual. This includes government secrets, personal passwords, memories, and also whatever is going on in the galaxy that humanity will never reach because the galaxy is expanding to a point that no matter how fast a spaceship can go, the galaxy will expand faster. So if we can't know everything, then what can we know? One of the limitations on human knowledge is a time constraint. The average human lifespan of someone in the United States is about 73.5 years, and with that in mind, that means on average, you only have 73.5 years to consume as much information as humanly possible. If you did not go to sleep and only read new information for your entire life, I don't believe that you would even be capable of being close to consuming a year's worth of all new information. If you think that for some reason that you were able to do that, let me put this into perspective for you. You're watching this video on YouTube right now, and for reference, there are about 156 million hours of content available on the platform. That is about 94,000 years of just watching YouTube videos. In order to make that number a little bit smaller, we're going to limit it to just a day. In a day, there's approximately 720,000 hours of content uploaded to YouTube, which would take you about 83 years to get through. So, with how much content is being uploaded to the internet at every single second, the time constraint is pretty clear and obvious. Another limitation that we have is a point that I brought up in the very beginning. While 2.5 petabytes, which is the information our brain is able to hold, is a ton of information, it's not as much as you think it is. As of 2020, the information on the internet was about 64 zettabytes, which is about 64 million petabytes. So, if the internet keeps expanding as it does every year, the human brain is completely outmatched from day one. This storage limit is what leads me to my next point, which is what happens when we reach capacity. So, as some of y'all might not know, the human brain has a characteristic that's known as plasticity. That means that it will shape and mold in order to do what it needs to do. So, theoretically, the human brain should never actually be able to run out of memory because it will always expand to accommodate that storage restraint. However, for this video, we're actually going to throw that out the window because thinking realistically, if your brain is going to continuously expand, then at some point your head would explode. For this point, I will also push us into the future because in this situation, we aren't even at the point of being able to push our brain to the max capacity. So if anyone ever says that they're using 100% of their brain, they're literally scientifically wrong. But anyway, imagine a future where your brain is like a hard drive. You can plug it into a computer and upload and remove memories at your will. In this situation, that limit of capacity will make individuals so specialized in one thing that everyone will actually be completely unique. Instead of going to school to learn general education and then specializing later, you would specialize from the very beginning because your brain would only be capable of holding so much information that the useless information they teach you to become a more well-rounded individual would actually be detrimental to you, because in order to be the best at that one thing, you would need to know as much as humanly possible in that certain thing. I know that was a lot, but in simple terms, you're now in a situation where you have to pick what you want to know and what you don't want to know. So another limitation I brought up earlier is something I brought up very briefly, and that is the fact that there are certain things that we will never be able to comprehend. To use as an example for this, we live in a three-dimensional world. That means that we can see everything in 3 dimensions, we can see everything in 2 dimensions, and we can see everything in 1 dimension. Now, the interesting thing is that we actually have no idea how many dimensions our universe is, because we're only limited to see 3 dimensions. Everything 4 dimensions and up is completely unknowable and invisible to us simply because of how we see the universe. Other things of this nature include the origin of the universe, what happens after death, and even how our consciousness exists. It is entirely possible to hypothesize on these things and somehow get lucky and be right about it, but then again, you will never know if that's right because there's no possible way to find out. But since the development of technology is increasing at an exponential rate, it is impossible to know what is and isn't possible in a million years' time. Now, as the final part of this video, I want to explore the implications of technology a little bit further and what it means for our understanding of the universe. Think about the world about 2,500 years ago. If you were to go back in time and show them a phone, they would probably have a heart attack because back then, they thought the earth was flat, humans could be cured of diseases by bleeding them, and the fastest way to reach someone across the continent was to send a letter by horseback. Think even like 50 years ago. There were no smartphones, no advanced computers, even cars are nowhere near what they are today. So, as technology is increasing, so is our understanding of how the world and the universe works. In today's world, they have discovered things that people hundreds of years ago wouldn't even be able to comprehend. Right now, I want you to come up with a picture of what you think the world will look like in 100 years. Now think about the world in 1,000 years. Both of those images that you thought up were completely wrong. Using that point I just mentioned previously, we can't even comprehend what is and isn't in the future because the technology that they will have will be so advanced that our current minds don't even have the capability to process that. So with that in mind, as our technology is improving, so is our capability to understand things that we weren't able to before. Therefore, coming to the conclusion that currently our main constraint to knowledge is actually the current available technology. With AI and all the current advancements going on, who knows what's going to be possible in the future. So, as a conclusion, the human limit of knowledge is technically infinity, but it's with an asterisk. While yes, the brain would technically be capable of holding everything, there's so many limitations that come with that it's impossible to fully explain all of them in one video. But I did bring up what I believe to be the major ones, and I hope you came out of this video knowing something you didn't before. I completely encourage you to explore this topic on your own if you want. It's rather interesting when it isn't completely surface level understanding, and there's so many different avenues I didn't even touch in this video. I would much appreciate it if you liked and subscribed, if you did enjoy the video, as it does mean a lot to me. But anyways, I'm mindful, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. Peace.